Hey guys, this is video number 2 from Lockbox Record Club. I'm Nick, and I'm going to do the vinyl tag for 2017. I've been seeing a lot of videos, a lot of great contributions from different people for this video, and I don't know where the vinyl tag came from. I'm just pretty much copying everybody else's list. So let's get into it. It seems pretty cool. So how many records do you own is question number 1 on the vinyl tag list, 20 questions. And I counted them, and there were 599, and then since then I've gone to the thrift store and found a couple good releases, so probably more like 610 albums, and it's constantly growing, so I need to sell some of them, but who knows what to sell. And you grow attached, and it's like having the collection, so it's going to get bigger before it gets smaller. So it's about 600, or around 600, a little bit over. What kind of record player do you have? Now this, I don't really have a high-end turntable or anything impressive. I'm happy with my Audio-Technica AT-LP60 with a USB. I never use the USB. I don't really listen to too much digital music. I do use Spotify to stream occasionally when I'm going on a road trip or something. But mostly when I'm at home, I only play vinyl. Mostly. I mean, I also just started regrowing my CD collection, but it's mostly getting things that are really tough to find on vinyl is what I'm picking up. So, how old were you when you started collecting records? Well, I've always played records. I've always played my father's records. I've gone into his collection, but I never started collecting, I guess, until, well, I bought my first record. I showed you guys in my last video, which is Aerosmith. I'm going to bring that out again to show for the next question, or one of the next questions. But also, I guess I was a teenager when I started really buying records for myself. Mostly I just devoured my dad's records. You know, he had a lot of Black Sabbath and Queen, and mostly actually like Canadian stuff. He was big into April Wine and the Stampeders and stuff like that. That's his time frame. But now let's get into some records here. I always collected records, I guess, but what's the oldest record I own? Now, I was going through, and mostly the jazz records are a little bit older. Here's a 10-inch Glenn Miller from 1953. That's when this release was. This plays selections from the film Glenn Miller, the Glenn Miller story. Haven't seen the film, and I bet you it's, well, maybe it's not that hard to find online. I've just never looked. Glenn Miller is a really interesting band leader in the jazz era. During World War II, he went to Europe to entertain the troops as part of the military band. I don't want to say army, or I think it was the army, but I could be wrong. But he was killed in World War II. His plane disappeared over the English Channel. So that's interesting. Glenn Miller, great jazz musician. I'm starting to really get into jazz a little bit, but not a lot of I don't know. I guess jazz is tough. Jazz is tough. You got to be ready for jazz. Okay, let's see. What's the first record you got with your own, or sorry, number 5. What is the first record you ever got? Aerosmith's Greatest Hits, $4. I got this at the market in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. It's near Acadia University. That's where I lived in that area, and a lot of used records in that area. And at that store, it recently closed shop because I visit still every once in a while to Nova Scotia, even though I live in Alberta now. But that's the first record I bought. So, or that's the first record you ever got. I got that secondhand. First, then number 6. What's the first record you ever got with your own money? That's kind of a tricky question. Anyway, the next record I bought would have been years later when I was 16. I went to Quebec City on a class trip, and in Quebec City, with no supervision, I found a record store and I bought No Effects Heavy Petting Zoo. And you see I keep this drawing my daughter did in the front cover because I'm scared she's going to pull it out. And this is Heavy Petting Zoo, released, I believe, in 1996. Yes, Epitaph Records. So I was 16. I was in a record store, and already in 1996, there wasn't as much vinyl on the shelves. There was a lot of CDs, and I was buying a lot of CDs. But I saw this, and I just thought, what the hell? Starting to get into a little bit of punk, and it was probably because it was an offensive cover. I have to admit. That's probably the reason I bought it. Yeah, that's why I bought it. Still a good record. What's your favorite colored vinyl? Okay, here. This is a 10-inch. This is my second 10-inch already to show you. This is my favorite colored vinyl. Whoops. It's a red Street Sweeper Social Club. So I got this with a pre-order online, and the reason it's my favorite colored vinyl probably is because it's signed by Tom Morello right here and Boots up top. So because of the signatures, this is my favorite colored vinyl. There's lots of colored vinyl out there now, and I don't know. That one's pretty cool, just because it's signed. And 10-inch. 10 inches are pretty cool because they're a little bit rare. So what do we got next? What is a discount record album that you own? This is interesting. Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison. At Folsom Prison. I already owned this record. I actually bought Live in San Quentin, and when I got it home, I took the album out, and it was this album, At Folsom Prison. But this one I saw at Goodwill for $1, and I knew I had to have it because it's in really good condition. It's still in the shrink wrap. So that was a really good find. I tend to get occasional good finds. I look all the time, kind of compulsively. I'm always looking for something. I recently also found Neil Young Harvest for $1, but it's not in the shape this is in. This is in amazing shape, so that was a good one. Good find. What else? What is your most prized possession? This is an album I feel connected to because when I got it, I was really thrilled. I thought I had something more special than what it actually is. So I went to Recordland in Calgary, and they had a copy of Live Like a Suicide, Guns N' Roses EP, and I was really curious and interested, and it was behind the counter, and I asked if I could see it, and I was, teenager, kind of punk kid, and they didn't want to let me look at it. I was really interested, though, and they were right. I couldn't afford it. So I went and looked on the shelves under Guns N' Roses, and I found this. It's a 12-inch single for promotional use only, so I guess they would have sent this to radio stations. And it has on one side, It's So Easy and Mr. Brownstone. And on the second side, too, it has Moved to the City, but the first track on side 2 is Shadow of Your Love. And I was excited because that's a track that I'd never heard before, and I was still am huge Guns N' Roses fan. So to find a track I didn't know of, I was excited. And this was only, I think it was $8. So I was excited because I could afford it, and I thought that I had something more special. Then after Discogs came out, I kind of researched it a bit, and it's a 12-inch single that's available for purchase. It's a UK single, I think, but I still believe this is a radio station promo. Anyway, I was excited to get it because of the track I wasn't familiar with, so that was cool. Recorded by a female artist, Lisa LeBlanc. She's an artist from New Brunswick who played at the Calgary Folk Music Festival last year. That's where I was introduced to her music, and I just really love her. She rocks on a banjo and kicks ass. So her band is really good, but she writes really interesting, fun songs. She has a French album and an English LP and an English EP. As far as I know, those are her 3 releases, and they're all really great. Number 11, a record by your favorite band. Now, this is the only record I own by Tool. Tool is you know, favorite band is tough, but Tool's probably my favorite band. And the other Tool albums are just so damn expensive, man. But this one, it was under 20 bucks. It was a repressing about a year ago. I saw it and I picked it up. It's yeah, it's the only album I have by Tool. But one day when I'm rich, I'll pick up all of them. An impulsive buy. Okay, here. The Black Keys, Turn Blue. I really enjoy the Black Keys. I've had albums before this album came out that I just loved by the Black Keys, and I saw this on the shelf, and I wasn't expecting to buy anything that day, and I was walking up to the shelf, and I saw it, and it was released that day, and I need that album. So they pulled it down. I bought it right then and there, and I got it home. And this is the most boring album. I put this on to show friends how terrible it is. Compared to other Black Keys albums, Black Keys have great songs, great albums. The production is really good. But not a single song stands out on this album. I don't think I'll buy another Black Keys album without listening to it first. Their older catalog, the rest of their catalog is great, but that album, and other people online I know love this album, I just don't get it. Okay, A Gift. What do we got here? Sorry, A Gift, yes. This is probably the first new album that was gifted to me. My sister gave me this for my birthday one year, The Strokes. So this is Room on Fire. This is a great album. Strokes are always pretty good. So, yeah, they go from good to great. So most of their stuff is great, but that's a great album. Their first album. Yeah. Again, actually their new EP is probably my least favorite, but still listenable, I guess. Most played record. That's a tough call. I'm going to say Charles Bradley. No Time for Dreamin'. This album has spent lots of hours spinning on the turntable. Great album from beginning to end. And the final track on here, Heartaches and Pain, just makes you want to cry. It's so good. It's also an album that I'll put on when company comes, when people aren't familiar with Charles Bradley. I'm like, you need to hear this. It's a great album. Okay, A Rarity. Now this, I don't know exactly how rare this is, but it's a mono version of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's, I believe, first pressing, Canadian pressing. And, I could be wrong about all the details of it, but I think that there were fewer mono versions of this album produced at the time, manufactured, and that's what I believe this is. So I think that this is maybe a rare album. A Rainy Day record. Definitely Radiohead, OK Computer. This just reminds me of sitting in a puddle, but letting the water wash over you and cleanse you. This is a Rainy Day record. This album, you can play it any time, but if you're just feeling, it affects your mood. It makes you feel something. And Rainy Day record. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Yeah, it's good. Okay, a feel-good album, number 17. I'm a huge fan of Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band, and this album, So Delicious, is probably their most upbeat album. Maybe it's not even the whole album is upbeat, but a few of the songs on here are just very bubbly or something. I don't know. It's good. It's a feel-good album. It's definitely something you want to put on. Pot Roasts and Kisses is really the song that I'm thinking of that just just, it's a little cheesy, but it's still solid. Record Store Day, number 18. Oh no, number 18 is a nostalgic album. So this, I'm pulling out a cassette. I was recently at Value Village in Calgary, and I picked up this cassette because it's Elton John, Reg Strikes Back. And this album, when I was a kid, my parents had a Columbia House record club. Yeah, Columbia House. We're all should be pretty familiar with Columbia House if you're over 30 or over 35, I don't know. But, you know, they mail you a tape, or CD or album. We always had tapes when I was a kid, and then when I was a teenager, I took over and started getting CDs by the dozens. But the cassettes, my parents got Reg Strikes Back, and I wanted the song, what song is it? I Don't Want to Go On With You Like That. Man, that song just, I don't know. This is definitely not a classic Elton John album, but that song, it just makes me smile. That song makes me nostalgic. And this album came out like when I was pretty young, 1988, so 8 years old, and that was the song I wanted to sing around the house. So, it's good. And now my kids are discovering Elton John, and my 4-year-old just wants to listen to Honky Cat. And that's cool, you know. But they also know the Lion King soundtrack and Crocodile Rock. So, you know, Elton John he speaks to everybody, and from young to old, and there's lots of phases to his career that are worth mention. So now is a Record Store Day release. The Party's Over, Prophets of Rage. It's an EP that came out I guess, in the end of 2016 on the Black Friday Record Store Day. It's on red vinyl. This is another Tom Morello album on red vinyl. And it's good. I mean, the version of Killing in the Name Of is with Chuck D and Be Real instead of Zach. You know, it's got the energy, it's got the protest, you know, stand up to the man kind of feel to it. Is it as good as the original off of Rage Against the Machine? No, but this is definitely still an important record, especially for when it came out. You know, 2016 needed Prophets of Rage, and hopefully there are others in 2017 that are going to take over and really push that, because I don't know if Prophets of Rage are going to be around in 2017. I saw that Cypress Hill is going on tour with Snoop Dogg, I think. So number 20, a recent purchase. Now this is another dollar find that I got at Sloth Records in Calgary. I go to all the record stores in Calgary. I love the record stores. I try to avoid the chains, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes the price is just better. But for used, I love buying used, pre-loved albums, and this is no exception. Look, $1, Buffalo Springfield. This is a double album, so there are 2 LPs in here, and it's, you know, Buffalo Springfield is, you know, I don't believe they have repressed any of these albums, their albums, recently, and this is going to have, you know, For What It's Worth, Mr. Soul. I love the Neil Young songs the most. For What It's Worth is, you know, the classic Buffalo Springfield. That could be their only song and that would be good enough. But Expecting to Fly, Mr. Soul, I just really love the Neil Young tracks on here. Nowadays, Clancy Can't Even Sing. You know, so that was $1 double album. So another good find. So I like showing off my bargains. But that's number 20. So thank you very much for, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching my video. Lockbox Record Club, I'm Nick. This is Alf. And see ya.